Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome and thank y'all for coming to another fun-filled adventure of evolutionary astrology as told through the lens of the soul currently known as Ryan Evans. uh, so just so you know what you're getting into, let me tell you a little bit about who I am and where I get off talking about this stuff. I am a certified master astrologer with the Stephen Forrest School of Evolutionary Astrology. I've been studying this stuff for the past 25 years. I also went through a disproving stage, which I actually think was very important, where I wasn't going to have anybody or anything outside of myself tell me anything about me, because what do planets, millions of miles away have to do with me? Well, that phase quickly ended with example after example after example of how it works. I began my study in earnest about 15 years ago, and I've considered myself a professional astrologer for about, what year is it? For about 10 years now. So I practice evolutionary astrology of the Stephen Forrest brand. I have not been trained in the Jeffrey Wolf Green brand, but where I'd like to enter this talk is through the lens of what is evolution. What's the point? Why are we here? What's the big deal? And so we have to begin with intention, that there must be some sort of soul intention for us to incarnate as humans. Otherwise, life would be meaningless and there wouldn't be much in the way of morals and growth, and happiness would just be very shallow. So while it is a belief, and I will say, yes, it is a belief. I have to believe that there is purpose and there is meaning and there is reason for our existence. And one of the ways this meaning percolates up astrologically is through the signs. And so what I'm going to be exploring here for the next 50 minutes or so is what I call the evolutionary intention of the signs. What is the lesson in the experience of each sign? What are we trying to learn? And if we look at the continuum of lives, what are the patterns that we are trying to break, and what new lessons are we trying to integrate into our being so as to be happier, more connected, more in alignment, and more more understanding of what we're doing here and why we're here. So as I ramble through this, if you could please write down all the questions that you may have. I'll try to leave 10 or 15 minutes at the end for any questions or further dialogue after that, if anyone has any input or any of their own experiences or reflections with anything I'm saying. So in order to understand the signs of astrology, let's first break it down into the elements. We have, fire, earth, air, water. And the way I view it is the elements flow into existence and manifest into seasons with the astrological modes. The modes are the cycles of life: cardinal, fixed, mutable. And when the modes and the elements combine, cardinal, fire, fixed, earth, we have the seasonal evolution of life. And the storyline of the seasons are basically, in my point of view, synonymous with the storyline and the rhythm of existence. So the modes and the elements combine to form the signs. And so what are these signs? What are these, the seasons of the year? Is the year divided by 12? In astrology, we'll call them avenues of expression. Sure, we can talk psychologically and call them personality, but what is personality? Character types and temperaments, but signs, I like to think of signs as methods and motivation and evolutionary imperatives, ways of growing. It's not like to put you in a box. You're a Scorpio. You're intense and dark. Well, how does that help us? I mean, it might, yeah, sure, sometimes, yeah, if I'm a Scorpio, sometimes I can be intense and sometimes I can have a penchant for looking at the dark side of life. Just by saying, you're a Scorpio, you're intense and dark, well, how does that help us? And so the signs, they're the why and the how of the methods and actions. So it sounds like this. So instead of saying, you're a Scorpio, you're intense, have a nice day, it's more like, you're a Scorpio, you're to face life with passion and attention. And questions of life and death can arise. And so how can you face them without fear? How can you celebrate the fact that you're alive? Sometimes the fear may come from darkness, and so as a Scorpio, you're to shine your light amidst that darkness. Face that and feel that and be present, and you will be happy. That sounds more engaging than just saying something like, oh, this is a basic personality description. And so these signs, yeah, they're a piece of the total picture of who we have, but we have all of them flowing through us. We can say something to the effect of, oh, well, I have Taurus intercepted in the 11th house, and therefore, I don't have much Taurus energy in me. Well, I don't believe that, because we have 30 degrees of Taurus that is intercepted, that is rolled into our 11th house, and there's depth and there's meaning and there's richness in that. Just because there isn't a planet in that sign does not mean that that part of life is not in us. So I want to be careful not to box us into just, our sun sign, or I'm the sun and the moon and the ascendant, and that's most of who I am. So I want to, as I'm talking about what I'll call the evolutionary imperatives of each sign, or the reasons, or the whys, or the wherefores, or the meaning of life for each season, keep in mind that we all have all of these alive in us. And sometimes, again, Taurus intercepted in the 11th house, sometimes if the moon comes and triggers, passes through Taurus, we may feel our Taurian energy intercepted in our 11th house in a very big way. Why? So we're going to talk about that. So the signs describe the why and the how. And these form the basic archetypes of expression. And then these archetypes then describe how a person may be or act or feel. But there's always the reason, the why, the wherefore, the purpose. Signs are here to teach us something. Signs are here to describe different ways of mastering consciously the lessons that are involved in each of the 12 signs, or as I like to call them, each of the 12 seasons. Each sign has its own set of resources, skills, talents, and tools, and of course, each sign has its own shadows. So, let's jump in, shall we? Aries, cardinal fire. It is that seasonal time when the light takes over the darkness. And so the metaphor, we have the outrushing power of our intention and our action, and why do we experience Aries? We experience Aries in order to engage life, period. Well, not period. I mean, there's a whole 5-day workshop on that, but we are here to experience Aries in order to claim our courage, to claim our will, to claim our self, saying, this is my life, and I will not tolerate a life that is defined for me. I get to define my own life. So Aries teaches us the will to shape our life. Why? Why would we even have that intention? And so it's possible that in a past life, Aries energy had some unresolved or unexpressed anger. It's possible that in a past life, Aries, anything Aries, was somehow disempowered, or somehow in a past life, Aries gave their energy or their power away, maybe even in the form of codependency or indecision, and so is now here to claim it. And so when I'm talking this way, and there's 12 signs here, so I'm going to have to spend about 2 minutes, 17 seconds on each one. But as I'm talking here, think of anything in the sign. Sun in Aries, Pluto in Aries. I'd be surprised if any of you had Pluto in Aries, but think of Venus in Aries. Think of Uranus in Aries. That the lesson of any archetype, the lesson of anything in Aries is for that archetype to heal this past life karmic conundrum where it was not allowed to be itself. And therefore, in this life, this time around, Venus in Aries, Sun in Aries, Moon in Aries, the lesson is always, in any question, in any situation, can I have the courage? Can I say that this is my life and take it in a way that is not violent and that is not excessively selfish, like putting people out in order to make us better or create a fight out of nothing, or even scaring people with our intensity. So Aries done right, the symbols, the archetypes of this season, the ram, the warrior, the pioneer, the daredevil, the leader, the life force, the warrior. So Aries, very, very, very important to learn how to fight the right fight. And then as the seasons evolve and spring has come and we have gone out into the world and we've started to, make the garden beds and we start to, clean up the messes from last year, and there's all this activity and action, then we come into the season of Taurus. And you can feel me even talking about Taurus, where we calm down, fixed earth, the earthquakes that finally stop and solidify into a mountain. And on that mountain, the cow walks up and lays down in the field of flowers, just chewing the cud, just relaxing and enjoying life. So the season of Taurus is about delighting, celebrating, enjoying the earth and its new growth and the freshness of that new growth. And so the evolutionary intention of any Taurian experience is to find peace, find serenity, find calm, and maintain that somehow in our daily life. In this experience, we are in our body. The body feels stable. The body feels calm. We can sit there and tell ourselves all day in our positive affirmations, I am calm and I am at peace. I am calm and I am at peace. And I am calm and I am at peace. And I'm calm and I am at peace. And if I'm not really calm, I can say it 100,000 times and it's not going to do it. So we have to feel that in our body. So the ability to feel calm and in our body is the incredibly powerful evolutionary imperative of Taurian energy. Why? Maybe in a past life, anything Taurus may have felt shame at physicality. Is that a story? You bet that is. The physical body feeling pleasure? Shame on you, heathen. So it's not uncommon to want to reincarnate in order to have the possibility of actually enjoying this life. Because in a past life, that enjoyment, that ability to feel safe in our bodies could have possibly been non-existent. Maybe in a past life, there was intensity. We were not safe. We were threatened. We could have met an untimely death. There could have been obsession and continued fear at our survival. And so sometimes we are reincarnated in order to learn the very difficult lesson of letting go of that intensity, letting go of that struggle, letting go of that fear, and doing what we can to calm down, go into the woods, play some music, touch your lover, that feeling of physicality, smelling some flowers. I highly recommend it in order to do Taurus right. There are some who could think that that is somehow not spiritually evolved. What, to enjoy a medium rare tenderloin? That's like some spiritual advancement? Well, for some people with a penchant for drama, intensity, and darkness, yes, just to simply eat a delicious meal could be the most advanced evolutionary strategy that they could possibly engage in. But sometimes we get stuck, and sometimes, the enjoyment of that steak, how many steaks can you have every night, time and time again? Every once in a while, it's time to shake it up. Welcome to Gemini, the next season. And when Gemini comes in the seasons of the year, we're looking at the end of spring and the beginning of summer. So just as it was time to be active in Aries after the slumber of Pisces, it's now time in Gemini to get moving and to do things and to try out new things. And that is the most evolutionary evolved intention of Gemini is to know that you don't know everything. How wonderful! There's so much more to learn. Let me look around this corner. Let me ask some questions. Let me go see what's on top of the hill. Oh, this something sounds really interesting. Let me explore it more. And as we explore that more, we are happy, we are awake, we are enlivened, and we are enthused at new stimulus. We unravel secrets, and we take in an incredible amount of information. To do that, we must be the teacher, the storyteller, the witness, the reporter, the twins talking to each other. Inside, being able to see our life or any situation from 2 points of view. That is so incredibly important if one had a past life where they were morally restricted or stifled due to religious law or immoral or unwise laws. Or maybe in a past life we individually had some self-righteousness gone bad. Maybe we thought we knew something in its totality, and we saw it from this perspective, and yes, I can easily see that this is X. But that can easily lead to pain. That can easily lead to hurting other people. We can easily resist other people's opinions just because we're so certain that whatever we're seeing is the thing that we're seeing. Can get us into big trouble. So this time around, to keep the mind of a child, to stay open to the possibilities, to stay open to the next clues, to live an intensely varied life. Stephen Forrest says, to treat boredom and predictability as cardinal sins. So we know that we never stop growing, and we never stop learning, and we never stop listening. That makes us eternally youthful. Does that sound like a good idea? Yes. So that's a lot of activity. That's a lot of intensity. And all of that activity and all of that, those asking questions and getting some answers and it's time to calm down again. And we come to the season of Cancer, the season of summer, the fullness of life, cardinal water, the giver of life. So with the season of Cancer, we're looking at the archetype of that which nourishes, that which heals, that which gives life. We're looking at the great mother. We're looking at the archetype of the great goddess, the divine feminine. And what is the evolutionary intention of this experience? It is to feel. It is to have our heart be as big and loving and generous and magnanimous as humanly possible, without it getting destroyed, without it getting eaten up. The crab has a necessary shell. If the crab or the turtle had no shell, if the crab had no shell, then you would not see any crabs walking on the beach, because the gulls would eat them all immediately right away. So the shell is necessary. The shell is important. But like my sternum here protecting my heart, it's only so thick. It's thick enough and it does its job. But imagine if my sternum were so super protective of my heart, I would not be very comfortable. So we have to cultivate the minimal defenses necessary for us to still feel every nuance of life. And in that feeling, there's healing, there's forgiveness, there's connection, there's love, there's trust. So the evolutionary intention of Cancer energy is to be in that place of tremendous feeling, tremendous love, without giving that away to the point that there is no heart left. So maybe in a past life, Cancer energy, that heart was out there and the trust was broken. And so what do we do when the trust is broken? We put up a wall. And if we do it enough, we put up 50,000 walls and nobody's ever going to get in. So maybe that happened in a past life if we have Venus in Cancer, or we have Saturn in Cancer, or any planet in Cancer, or any Cancer anywhere in our chart. Maybe there's some trigger to it at some point. Maybe we were in that loving, healing place, but it wasn't enough. And maybe someone got hurt and we felt responsible for it. So Cancer is back this time around in this life to do what we can to do it right and to do it consciously. To do Cancer right consciously means to feel everything, to not hide, but to also have adequate protection. What does that look like? It looks like the trust test. Hi, my name is Ryan. Oh, hi, my name is Joe. Oh, I think that you're a pretty nice guy all of a sudden. Hey, I think you are too. Okay, well, there's the first door open. Oh, well, hey, I went to the same school you did. Oh, hey, that's great. Oh, yeah, my mom knows your mom. Oh, there's another door open. And so to have the minimum number of doors necessary for protection, but to not have, again, 50,000 doors, because then nobody ever gets in, nobody ever gets to that heart, and the feeling of that heart in its totality is the evolutionary intention for Cancer. Now, once we go into our heart, once we probe that, once we go into the depths and trust what we find there, what we may find is the truth of our being. And in that truth of our being, we want to bring that out and share that with the world in some form of expression. Welcome to Leo, the season after Cancer. Fixed fire, we're in full summer. A full summer, the sun is reigning supreme, and Leo, the sign of the king, the queen, reigns. So we have the king, the performer, the child, the clown. And so Leo, when we go into our heart in Cancer and we find whatever our truth is, to express that then out into the world joyfully. Wow, well, that right there is the evolutionary intention of Leo, to express ourself without judgment from self or others, to express that into the world, to leave some part of us in the world, our art, our children, our having loved somebody, and to be celebrated for that being that we are expressing into the world, which means that not every single person on the planet is interested in the performance we have to give. So it's very important for Leo not to take that personally, but to know that, you know, some people like rock music, and some people really like jazz, and some people really like country. And you're not going to necessarily show up with your jazz band to the country music bar. You might be the world's most professional jazz player, but the audience of the country music bar scene is not going to necessarily receive that. So it's, again, very important for Leo energy to express itself to the right audience. Is that easy? No, because past life tendencies for Leo in this life, the past life possibility could have been that joy may have been squashed. We could have come out in our great expression, hey, mommy, look at my beautiful painting. Oh, that looks like a dead bug. Oh, no, it was a picture of me hugging you. Oh, and is that kid ever really going to connect with his mother? Again, it's going to take some work. It's going to be hard. So maybe in a past life, the Leo energy, that joy was squashed due to rejection or betrayal or persecution or judgment, peer pressure, resulting in hiding, or resulting in screaming very loudly. Oh, the jazz musicians show up to the country music. Well, too bad, you're going to listen to jazz tonight, and you're going to like it. No, no, and no, that does not work. That is Leo's shadow. So we stay away from that by finding our correct audience, by going to the jazz club to play our jazz, or maybe try to open some new minds at the public market on Saturday. To do that right, to be celebrated and received for our joy. That is Leo's evolutionary intention. And after the festival season of summer, we come home from vacation and we realize that we left some dishes undone, that the weeds are growing in the garden beds, that the cats haven't been fed for a week, and other things really need to be done. Welcome to the season of Virgo, mutable or spiraling earth, where it is time to say, okay, we've done the celebration, we've expressed ourselves out into the world, it's been received, and that energy has been reciprocated. All right, now it's time for me to really do something more, maybe even ask myself, why is it that I need this attention or affection, or what is it in me that that could use some improvement? Hey, you know, maybe I played jazz at the jazz bar and it was really awesome, but I just couldn't hit that 11/8 rhythm. Oh, I just couldn't do that. So give thanks for the season of Virgo, because we come home from the jazz bar and we practice. Why? Maybe in a past life, our work, our gift, our expression was rendered useless, or we were shamed, or we could have even been enslaved, losing any ability to make any difference in the world. So if we have an expression, Leo, of wanting to make a difference in the world through our beautiful music, and we can't hit that 11/8 rhythm, then give thanks for the Virgo energy, whose evolutionary intention it is to become more perfect. Not all the way perfect. I mean, we're never going to be all the way perfect, but to be just a little better, to improve our skills so that maybe we can master that 11-8 rhythm. It's Virgo's beautiful ability to point out what is wrong. If there were no Virgo energy, then the dishes would never get done and the weeds would never be pulled out of the field. So to pull the weeds out of the field is an evolutionary imperative. It is a need for us. And so for us to look at the weeds growing in our field, for us to see what has been growing, what we have tended, and what might need to be harvested and made into a loaf of bread in order to share with the world. And so to be helpful in a crazy world, there is the prime evolutionary intention of Virgo. Again, because maybe in a past life, we were not able to make a difference. Maybe in a past life, we allowed our bad habits or our daydreaming to take us away from this process of self-perfection. We couldn't make it happen. Maybe we were inadequate or victimized even, causing us to withdraw. So this life, Virgo energy, is to do its good work with humility and patience, step-by-step process, and the wisdom that is inherent in that sign. So, moving right along, Libra. Now we come to the balance of light and dark, the season of autumn, when we start to say, oh, wow, summer's pretty much almost over. Let's enjoy and appreciate the last moments of warmth and beauty and sunshine. Let's enjoy the fruits of the harvest that Virgo worked so hard to bring us. Oh, thank you, Virgo. You're so wonderful. And Virgo bows. And Libra, with its diplomacy, says, I love you, and here's $10 for your zucchini. And so we get to enjoy the zucchini, all 500 cases that are growing in our garden. And this ability to enjoy, this ability to find the happiness in life, the peace, the balance, and the ability of the mind, this being cardinal air, the ability of the mind to say, it really is all good. That is the evolutionary intention of Libra, to find an unbreakable peace and balance and harmony within us. And then Virgo says, hey, that zucchini was worth $20. And then we have to say to Virgo, well, I thought that you said it was $10. And Virgo says, no, that was my assistant misquoting me. And so Libra has to work hard in that moment to still maintain equilibrium and peace. Why? Because in past lives, it was the war in its various forms, relationship, actual violent war, the war between government and peasant, the war between corporation and farmer. I can keep going, but any form of war somehow touched Libra. And so Libra, to find the peace, maybe in a past life the stress controlled, could have been too selfish, too nice, too mean, too resistant to compromise. This time around, Libra gets to learn it. And so as Libra finds its peace, as Libra finds its balance, as Libra finds its people with whom to relate and maintain this balance, we then slip into the season of Scorpio, where the way I like to describe this, and you can use this in your readings, is that, Libra, here's me on this side of the scale and you on this side of the scale, and we find our balance, we find our trust, 100% of me, 100% of you, total disclosure, yay, the complete evolutionary intention of Libra to find that peace from the war of the past life. Now, the two people climb up the chains and then run across the beam to the fulcrum in the center and combine their energies in intimacy. Welcome to Scorpio. And so in that combining of energies, where the two become one, or the investor and the business person come together, or our experience of life and our awareness of death come together in Scorpio, we have the evolutionary intention of, as Henry David Thoreau says, living deep and sucking out all the marrow of life, and not, when I come to die, discover that I had not lived. Right there, the evolutionary intention of Scorpio, to live in the present moment, focused, intense, and deep, living each moment as if it were the last. Why? Because in past lives, two things: we may have seen hell, we could have been lied to, we could have lied, we could have deceived, we could have been deceived, or life could have been too easy, we could have been too comfortable, too concerned with future safety, and not concerned enough with the raw, hard intensity of the present moment. So the evolutionary intention of Scorpio to engage in the present moment, no matter what. Life, death, pleasure, pain, loss, gain, fame, shame, no matter what, to be there, to be present, to not repress, to not suppress, to not shove it into the darkness, to not project it onto anybody else, but to live it real and intensely in our own life. Now, the leaves fall in the season of Scorpio, traditionally, and the awareness of death is all too apparent when we go out that frosty morning to get our tomato and it's rotten. And we say, okay, since there's death, what is the meaning of it all? Since autumn is becoming winter, we've got to remain inspired. We've got to find our faith. What's the meaning of life if winter kills life? Welcome to Sagittarius, whose endpoint is, whose evolutionary intention is to find some meaning of life, according to our own definition, to find some meaning of life, to find some truth which inspires and enthuses us, enthuse to be filled with God. Literal translation, enthusiasm, to be filled with God, to be filled with Spirit. Why would that be important? Because maybe in a past life, somebody could have lost faith in this world. Maybe somebody saw the death and the darkness and the shadow and found no hope afterwards. Or maybe we got close to an answer. Maybe we got so close. Maybe we got right up to the event horizon of the black hole, and whoops, we slipped in. And maybe we went too far down the rabbit hole and curiosity killed the cat. And maybe we were spit out of it into some void of meaninglessness. Or maybe we didn't allow ourselves to trust our own intuition. And so Sagittarius percolates up in our life. And through the Sagittarian process, the evolutionary intention of Sagittarius is to find that enthusiastic meaning of life that calls us forward optimistically, in spite of the hell and the darkness and the dead tomatoes. And another Henry David Thoreau quote, "I went to the woods to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and learn what it has to teach. And if it proves to be mean, to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world. And if it proves to be sublime," he says, "why, to give a true account of it in my next excursion." Love that. Sagittarius. And we can be on this excursion, figuring out the meaning of life on the grand adventure, and we can forget our phone number, and we can forget our responsibilities, and we can be too lost in spiritual bliss that we forget to tie our shoes, and we trip over them carrying 14 blueberry and custard pies. So welcome to the necessary season of Capricorn, where it is now cold and the darkness has taken over. So we must hunker down, tighten up our bootstraps, make sure we have enough wood, and do all these very grown-up things. Capricorn, the archetype of the grown-up, the manager, the elder, the father. And so why? What's the purpose and what's the evolutionary intention of Capricorn? So beautiful. The evolutionary intention of Capricorn is to have our stuff together. And there are other ways I could say that. And in having our stuff together means being here, cardinal Earth, being here in this realm as a human, doing what we must do with integrity and steadfastness, solitude if we have to. But we have to, here's the little secret of Capricorn that I just think is so beautiful, that we get very, 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 very real, Cancer, get very real with what is in this heart. And then do that and be that on the outside. It's like being our own guide, being our own manager, being our own elder. Then we're responsible in ourselves. Then we express this responsibility out in the world. And Capricorn, the grown-up, the elder, the goat climbing the mountain to the top, then Capricorn has the ability to, quote, get to the top. And that getting to the top, that worldly power, might actually mean freedom for Capricorn, because in a past life, maybe Capricorn experienced some failure or some abandonment, or maybe Capricorn let itself down, or maybe let others down, or maybe it was dependent or moody or insecure. And this life, this time around, it becomes time to get our stuff together. It becomes time to get our ducks in a row, so we are self-sufficient, we are self-respecting, and we select a career that reflects the best parts of our truest self. Capricorn, done right. Now, we move from Capricorn in the dead of winter, ruled by Saturn, into Aquarius in the dead of winter, ruled by Saturn, traditionally. So Saturn apparently loves the winter. So here we are in Aquarius, the cold winds blowing. the electric winds, the serpents of Aquarius, fixed air. What do? Well, we innovate. So in Aquarius, in the season of Aquarius, we have the archetype of the genius, the revolutionary, the truth-sayer, the inventor, the exile, the rebel, the humanitarian, the reformer. And so at this time of year, in this season of Aquarius, it becomes incredibly necessary for us to be incredibly true, even when the rest of the world wants us to be another way, wants us to do it a certain way. Everybody shows up for this thing at this time in the community. So if you want to be part of the community, you better show up too. But that's not who I am. And Aquarius gets to say that. Aquarius gets to stand strong and firm when its freedom is challenged. Aquarius gets to the intention, the meaning, the purpose, the reason of Aquarius is to have our truest expression of self that we ourselves have defined amidst the pressures of the rest of society. Family, friends, our community. And so maybe in a past life, we played that social game. Maybe in a past life, we were completely inauthentic with who we were. Maybe in a past life, Aquarius prized social politeness over personal honesty. And so maybe Aquarius didn't follow its heart. So it is time now this life for Aquarius to say, no, wait, this is who I am. Yeah, this is my purple hair. You like it? Doesn't matter if you like it, because I sure like it. Because this is who I am. I'm feeling purple today, so it's purple. To do that and to be that, that's freedom. That's loyalty to self. And now imagine, this is the beautiful community, we're all in this together aspect of Aquarius. Imagine how beautiful it would be if every single person on the planet was exactly who they were. Imagine how beautiful it would be if people weren't so impressed upon by culture or here I am, getting much older, starting to shake my cane at today's popular music. It's kind of funny. I'm sure back in 1969, there were, 44 or 45-year-olds saying, oh, today's music is 19. But for us all to play our own original music, wow, what a beautiful community it would be if we all accept that. So now we move into early spring, and the hardship looks like it's over, and we might be able to get through the winter with our remaining wood on the pile. So at this time, it becomes necessary to imagine the next cycle. And so with one hand, Pisces lets go of the past, and the other hand, Pisces is imagining the future. That duality of Pisces, little bit letting go of the past, little bit forward of the future. And so in that letting go, there's some poetry. In that looking to the future, there's some poetry. The archetype of the artist can can express itself and release the past through its art, can also imagine new beautiful things with its art. Now, the purpose and the reason, the evolutionary intention of Pisces is to engage this process as a creative, imaginative, heartfelt, loving, compassionate human. Not just some dreamer floating around in the clouds, but to be a real human expressing this compassion, this art, this dream. And in that, there is freedom. And as we express and can live in this place of bringing down, congealing creativity into form, and letting go of creations that are old and outworn or outmoded or outdated, that visionary anchoring, that's what Pisces is here to do, to anchor the dream in this world. And so maybe in a past life, that was just simply not possible. Maybe in a past life, Pisces was caught in a web of hyper-anxiety or worry or inflexibility, or maybe he was trying too hard. Maybe he was trying to fix things too much. Maybe Pisces itself was enslaved or locked in some sort of servitude. Pisces is here to let go in this life and be free and to experience true consciousness. And so we meditate, we draw, we act, we play, we're creative. So we allow the flow of imagination to flow through us as Pisces, and we dream and we anchor it. We let go of this world, but we still engage in it. And the whole time learning the Om in between the two, the evolutionary intention of Pisces. And after we let it all go and we've imagined what the future can be, then it is time for the next cycle, the next part of the rhythm, the next loop in the spiral. We're back to Aries, and it's time to engage and help make that dream real. So, astrologically, from my point of view, this is what I would call the evolutionary intention of the signs. Thanks for playing along. Y'all have any questions, comments, or otherwise?
That was absolutely amazing.
Yay.
I'll keep it simple. Brilliant.
Fun.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
When you talk about the evolution of all of the signs, do you talk about just the sun being in a sign, or are you talking about the Pluto or the nodes or the ascendant or whatever planet?
Is anything, anywhere, at any time, anywhere in your chart that Taurus or Pisces exists in? This is true for Venus in Aries. This is true for the Sun in Aries. This is true for Saturn in Aries. So what we do, formulaically, I guess that's the word, is we supplant the archetype, our relationships, our passion, Venus or Mars, who we are, the Sun. We put that archetype in with this intention, and then we can say, so Venus in Aries, we're talking about the evolutionary intention of Aries being to have a powerful sense of self, be courageous, be willful. Throw in Venus, we need relationships which help us and assist us in this evolutionary process. Take Venus out, put Saturn in there. Saturn in Aries. Our hard work in life is overcoming our restrictions, our blockages regarding how to find our courage, our will, our drive. So as I've been talking about these evolutionary intentions of signs, the intention of the sign stays the same, and then you can put whatever archetype you want in there. A great example, I used it at the beginning. No planets in Taurus intercepted in the 11th house. It doesn't sound like it's a really big deal for you, the evolutionary intention of Taurus, to calm down, to find peace, to be practical, these kinds of intentions. But when, say, the moon progresses through Taurus, intercepted in our 11th house, those evolutionary intentions are going to be incredibly powerful and right in our face. So as I've been talking, it's not planet specific, it's not archetype specific, it's anything in any of those signs.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions, comments, remarks? I'm going to count to 5.
I have one.
Yes, yes, you in the back.
Yeah, so if you have like the South Node in Aries or the North Node, which, you know, is like, so, okay, would that be like the past or what you brought? Like, what would you say about the nodes?
Sure, if we want to bring the nodes into this equation, then put exclamation points on the North Node of everything I have said. North Node in Aries, then we are really learning how to claim ourselves. North Node in Aries, we're really learning how to be courageous. North Node in Aries, it is our whole intention of being here to find our power, because in a past life, maybe we gave that away. Maybe we deferred to somebody else. Maybe we only considered ourselves only a half of the equation. But with North Node in Aries, this is a life where we are to make ourselves the entirety of the equation. And if anybody else wants to come along for our ride, that's great. So when I talked throughout this talk about the shadow, more shadow aspects, we could apply the South Node to that. South Node in Aries. Maybe it was too much focused on ourself. Maybe we were too addicted to the war, too addicted to the intensity, too angry. And so this time around, how to do North Node in Libra right, finding our peace and our balance. Was that mildly helpful?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very, very nice class.
You bet.
Just following on from what Lauren said, Ryan, would you take Pluto to like a whole deeper level of, say, the South Node?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So just following on from how Lauren asked where the North and South Node would be,
Yes.
Pluto itself, how would you describe or define that?
Pluto, did you ask?
Yes.
So most of us are born, there might be a couple Pluto and Cancer folk here, but everybody else here has been born with Pluto in Leo through, there might be some Pluto and Scorpios in here. It'd be great if there was a Pluto and Sag in here, but most of us, the way to describe Pluto in the signs in the positive is to say that this is some wound that has occurred over lifetimes. This is some darkness, some treachery, some manipulation, some pain, some horror, some pick your Pluto word that, say, is in Leo. So Pluto in Leo, we'll say. So Leo, again, to express oneself joyously into the world. Pluto in Leo, maybe sometime in some past life, the ability to express oneself joyfully in the world somehow met with some sort of horror, pain, trauma, or otherwise inability to have that true expression. So the evolutionary intention of Pluto in Leo would then be to do that self-expression not only really, really right, but to be a powerful force in the world with whatever expression you have. So say Pluto in Leo in the 5th house, to be a magnificent, I could imagine Pluto and Leo in the 5th house being an art teacher for underprivileged youth. That would be a magnificent expression of Pluto and Leo, where one has experienced the pain, the horror, and the trauma of not having their expression received by an audience, to do the incredible hard work of being someone who fights for the underdog to help them have their expression put out into the world. Boy, that would give that individual incredible meaning and incredible self-love, and would help to heal the Pluto 5th house wound. So is that?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ryan, what is the whole meaning of existence? What's the point?
Oh, well, let me describe that to you in 4 or 5 sentences. Aldous Huxley, many of you may be familiar with him, great philosopher of the 20th century, translated many texts and not only studied and taught world religions and world philosophies, but actually practiced many of them. And I don't know if it was Bill Moyers or somebody came to him, interviewed him at the end of his life and said, Aldous, after all of your study, after all your spiritual exploration and your teachings, what have you really learned? And Aldous looks up with a twinkle in his eye and he said, well, to be a little kinder. And so when people ask me, and when I ask myself on a daily basis what the meaning of life is, it seems to me that the only thing that really makes sense is to be as happy and as loving and magnanimous and sharing and giving and loving and joyous as humanly possible. And in order to do that, we have to go through and work through the complexities of our shadows and our darknesses and our old programs and our old tapes and our past life trauma from 210 or 200 lives. And so the meaning of life, to work through that. But why? To come to this place of happiness. Why? Because love feels really good. And imagine if everybody on the planet was in this place of incredible, loving, happy self-expression. I think it was someplace in the Bible, I don't know what passage, but I believe it said something to the effect of the meaning of life the purpose, the reason of humans is to anchor heaven on earth. That's the Pisces Virgo polarity. So, so what's the meaning of life? To anchor heaven on earth. How do we do that? By being as happy and joyful and loving and giving and sharing as possible. And how do we do that? By engaging our darkness and our hell and our shadow. And how do we gain enlightenment? By going through a period of endarkenment. So that's, I can keep talking, and that is a whole big lecture. But as far as the meaning and purpose of life, I love the astrological model because it can show us how to do that each individually, and not just in some book that says, oh, this is how everybody should be happy. But with astrology, with the birth chart, we can look at that and say, oh, wow, this is the blueprint for how to get there. And the blueprint for how to get there invariably takes us through some dark roads. But as long as our intention is the light, then theoretically, we're all good. At least that's what I keep telling myself. And I could be wrong. So
Thanks.
That's what I know so far.
So we're becoming the best version of ourselves. Yes?
That's the hope, that's the idea, that's the intention if we stay conscious and awake and focused when that darkness comes up, when the trauma is triggered or whatever.
Okay. Any final questions or comments?
Okay, everybody. Well, I will say thank you all for playing along and hanging out with me while I do my third house Leo moon thing. So thank you all so much. For further information, feel free to visit my website at ryanevansastrology.com. And I also have a Facebook page, Ryan Evans Astrology. And if anyone is interested in continuing the conversation or having their chart done, that's what I know.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks from
You're so welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Ryan. That was really
Thank you very much.
See you
Okay.
next time, Ryan.
Very good. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
excellent.